I'll give you 30 seconds. What's your 30-second pitch for corporate cleaning services? What do you tell people?
I tell people we sell hygiene. Basically, that's all we do. We sell hygiene. If hygiene is important to you, we sell hygiene. And at the end of the day, that cleanliness is one of those things that a lot of people appreciate, just not a lot of people like to do it. So they sort out people that are willing to come in and help them with it. And again, I joke around and say we sell hygiene. And if it's important to you, that's the part of the hygiene of your life that we can help with.
Yeah, that's great.
My simple pitch.
I love it, man.
Positively West Virginia is presented by Interaction Media and sponsored by Huntington Bank, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With help from our sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Folks, we're visiting today with Chin Orih. He is the owner of Corporate Cleaning Services. Chin, thanks for being on the show today.
It's a pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to see you, my friend. We've known each other a number of years, and full disclosure, if you see this studio and how clean it is, Chin's team cleans for us on a regular basis and has done so for a long time. I'm just excited to learn more about your story. Chin, tell us a little bit about Corporate Cleaning Services and what you do.
So we do obviously cleaning. That's what I tell people. Just kind of dumb it down like that.
Yeah.
But Corporate Cleaning Services was really an idea that I had while I was in undergrad here at WVU. And I was playing soccer at the time, and I got to meet some really, really good people from the boosters and everything that own their own business and everything. So I had the idea to start a business. I just didn't know what to do. Having said that, I also lived in a rental that my landlord told me that when we were moving out that I had to clean it. So I had a choice to either hire someone or do it myself. And I ended up doing it myself and got my deposit back. And I'm like, there's something to be said here. I didn't know how it was all going to play out. But then I spoke to a mentor of mine about starting a cleaning company, and he happens to have a construction company. And from that conversation, he said, hey, if you start this thing, we'll have work for you. So that's how, really, in a nutshell, it came about. I didn't know anything about the business. I didn't know anything about bidding. I didn't know anything about how to run a cleaning company. But it just kind of took a life of its own from that point on. And that's how we got going.
That's amazing. Well, Chin, you grew up in Nigeria. What brought you to West Virginia?
Well, technically, I was in Nigeria only till I was 10 years old.
Okay,
I came to the States when I was 10 years old in the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area.
Oh, great.
So that's where I went to school. And then, so when I was finishing high school, I actually applied to and got accepted to play soccer at Duke University,
Nice.
Which is where I always wanted to go to school.
Very cool.
And the funny thing happened after my recruiting visit there. I made my decision. They said, come to Duke. And the soccer coach here at the time, Paul Marco, had contacted me and said, hey, why don't you come to visit West Virginia? And I'm like, I don't even know where West Virginia is. I don't know where Morgantown is. I don't know anything about this state. But he did something that has stuck to me up until today. He really talked to me about soccer tournaments that I played in when I was younger that I didn't even know he followed me that long.
Really?
So out of respect, I told him, I said, I already signed to go to Duke. I'm going to Duke, but I'll come to Morgantown, wherever that is, and look at the university. So I came here, and funny thing happened. I was here for 4 days, and I kid you not, Jim, I probably had $20 in my pocket. And for $20 in 4 days in Morgantown, I had the time of my life. And I never knew where this place was. So I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I told Paul at the time, I said, basically, if I come here, you have to coach me for 4 years. You're not allowed to leave. I don't want another coach coaching me. You already know I'm going to Duke University, but I love this place all of a sudden, and I think I'll fit in. And that's what brought me to Morgantown,
Wow.
Just like that.
Amazing.
So no, yeah. I tease my daughter and I, we joke around now because I tell her, I said, your dad is probably one of the very few people that can say he turned Duke down. Duke did not turn him down. So in my office, I have all the acceptance letters. I have everything that Duke sent me just to prove to her that
Really?
I said no to Duke and I came to Morgantown. And that's how I ended up here.
That's so cool. I love that. And what a great backstory. So, Chin, yeah, talk a little bit about corporate cleaning services and specifically, like I mentioned, commercial cleaning. You clean the offices here at Interaction Media in our studio for Positively West Virginia. But what else are you known for? You corporate cleaning. I think about commercial, but you also do residential and a host of other things.
Yeah, so that's what happened. Corporate cleaning actually started as a post-construction cleaning company. So on the onset, earlier on, we did an awful lot of post-construction cleaning.
So in other words, a builder goes in, they do a project, and it's a mess, and you go in there before the owner comes back in and moves in, and you clean it out, clean it up.
It doesn't matter what you build. Someone has to clean it before somebody moves in. So that's what we did hot and heavy, and we loved doing it, and we still love doing it. But as time went on, the people, the contractors that were coming from out of town started shipping people in from all over the place. And then as far as the competition, which I didn't mind, we were getting so terribly underbid because they were bringing in their own people. So I said to myself, I need to pivot. At the time, we weren't doing a lot of office buildings or anything like that. But fortunately, a lot of people were doing construction cleaning and say, hey, how about you come in and clean our office? Sure. So then I sort of pivoted, started doing commercial cleaning, meaning janitorial services and everything. And then I never thought in my life that I would be cleaning people's houses. Well, the people who were cleaning their office said, well, would you guys mind coming to clean our house? So I actually started a sister company that's called Clean House Services that services the residential side of our business. To be honest, with you, it's not something I advertise a lot, but yet we've had some really, really good residential clients over the years that have stuck with us over the years. So yeah, we do that as well.
That's great.
So all your cleaning needs, whatever you need, we can help.
I love it. I love it. What if you whittle it down? You said cleaning, one word. I'll give you 30 seconds. What's your 30-second pitch for corporate cleaning services? What do you tell people?
I tell people we sell hygiene. Basically, that's all we do. We sell hygiene. If hygiene is important to you, we sell hygiene. And at the end of the day, the cleanliness is one of those things that a lot of people appreciate, just not a lot of people like to do it. So they sort out people that are willing to come in and help them with it. And again, I joke around and say we sell hygiene. And if it's important to you, that's the part of the hygiene of your life that we can help with.
Yeah, that's great.
My simple pitch.
I love it, man. I think about what you're saying there, hygiene. When I walk into a space, whether it's my personal home or it's a business, I notice it. How do they represent themselves, right? If you go in and like you walk in and there's piles of leaves in the corner in the entryway, or there's cobwebs, I mean, you just go, wow, I don't know if they're going to take care of me, right? I think it's a subconscious thing that happens when you see a place that's not clean, and I think that's why you guys provide such a value. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of your company and the guys, Neville and the guys that come in and clean our space, and gotten to know those guys, and they're top notch. Top notch.
They are.
They care.
They are.
How many folks do you have working for you now?
Oh my goodness, it's hard for me to keep up sometimes because I have other interests that some of my team members kind of cross over to, but. Under the radar, I have quite a few people.
You clean a lot of places.
Yeah, we do, and I'm not out there a lot as much as I used to, as far as trying to get the word out as to what we do.
You've got a good business. You've been doing this since the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
You started when you were a sophomore in college.
Yes.
And here it is, and officially got their business launched in 2004, really, right? Yeah. Official, sign up the LLC or whatever. And here 20 years later, You're cranking,
Yeah,
man.
it's the staying power, and I think it's the culture, and that's what I preach to my team members all the time. I had an associate that you probably know. I wouldn't name any names. That's an attorney. Told me years ago. He said, that's when they used to have the yellow pages advertisement.
Yeah,
He said, Chin, you know what? If you open a random page on the yellow pages and take a dart and throw it, you're gonna hit an attorney or a cleaning person. And at the time, I just kind of was like, ha ha ha, and then I started thinking to myself, my goodness, it's saturated, because even in Morgantown now, the amount of cleaning companies, the amount of cleaning people, I mean, if you lose your job, you could go to Walmart, buy a vacuum, buy a Windex, and all of a sudden you're a cleaning person. Wow. And God bless those people, because we all have obligations. I don't pay any mind to it, but what I do sell to my clients is the fact that we've had the staying power. We've been here. Yeah. We've continued to be here. Morgantown keeps me busy. Yeah. I can probably count how many times we've ever done work in like Fairmont on one hand, or any part of Pennsylvania. So for the 20 some years, we've just been in Morgantown, and we continue to stay fairly busy.
That's really
in Morgantown.
Cool. What would you say is the thing you're most excited about today for Corporate Cleaning Services?
I think the fact now that, again, like we mentioned, I mentioned to you before I came on air, is people that I have around me are able to keep the company going with me kind of being the quarterback, so to speak. I'm blessed to have people that take ownership of the business, and they're an extension of me. So when they go to do work, even though they're representing themselves, they always remind themselves that they're representing an extension of me, and they know what I expect and know what the culture is. So that brings me a lot of excitement. And then you think, as a business owner, and you know this, you wake up one day, you look around you, you see your team, you're like, my goodness, these people depend on me for their livelihood. And that's something I take very seriously, because they do depend on me for their livelihood. So all of that now excites me. It always has. And anybody that knows me will tell you, money is not a motivating factor for me. And I don't want anybody listening to this to hear that wrong. Of course I need money. I have a lot of obligations. I probably can't leave Morgantown without the banks telling me to surrender my passport because I owe the bank so much money. But money doesn't motivate me. What does motivate me is to look around my team, know that they can take care of their families, they can take care of themselves by being under me and doing what we do, which is not glamorous at all.
I love it. Chin, great wisdom. I appreciate you. We're going to take a quick moment to mention our sponsors for Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
It started with a road trip. Huntington bankers through big cities and small towns, where we met Jane and Dontel and their calendar. Every day, predicting the money coming in and the money going out, which gave us an idea. What if we could set up a digital cash flow calendar for their business? So we built it for them. Why? Because we're for people. Huntington, welcome.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
And we're back. Folks, we're visiting with Chin Orih. He's the owner of Corporate Cleaning Services since the early 2000s. Transplant from Nigeria to Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania area. I'm glad you didn't go to work for Dunder Mifflin, by the way, and you came to West Virginia to play soccer and started your business as a sophomore. Here we are in 2024. Chin, I want to mention something because I think this is pretty cool. 2017, you were named Minority-Owned Small Business of the Year by the U.S. Small Business Administration. That's the SBA. I mean, how in the heck did that happen, and what has that meant for your company?
till today, it's still something I look back at. I was contacted that somebody had nominated me, and I'm not a big fan of entering myself into anything. I
Yeah.
just like the quiet part of my life.
Yeah.
But it was something that I was very appreciative of. And then you went through the rigor of, I mean, my goodness, by the time the state was done with me, they knew everything there was to know about me. And fortunately, it panned out. We won that award. I feel as though, awards, great. It's a great recognition. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Having said that, it didn't really change us much in the sense that it doesn't matter who's looking, who's not. The culture that we have in our business is the same. So, but it was nice for the state to recognize that,
Yes.
hey, you have some people out there that are working day and night, trying to make West Virginia proud, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Is to really, so that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I think it, in a sense, listening to what you're saying, it's a validation almost, right? Like, yeah, we are working hard. We're doing great work. We're serving people well, and so I just appreciate you answering that question. I know that you're not boastful for sure, and it is really cool recognition. So you mentioned Morgantown. Is that the primary geographic area that you serve?
Yes, it's crazy. Like I keep on waiting. I mean, and we've done work outside of Morgantown, but it
Yeah.
has to be worth it for me to pack up a crew to go do work outside of Morgantown. But
Yeah.
Morgantown has really, really kept us busy. I've had some of the same clients since we started,
Yeah.
and that's that we don't have turnover very much, both from an employee standpoint and a client standpoint. So again, it goes back to the culture of what we, and when I say we, I mean the team. I'm part of the team.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the leader, supposedly, but I have a lot of good people that are helping with this. So Morgantown has kept us busy and still keeping us busy.
Yeah.
And I really, if I need to go outside of Morgantown, I will, but I really haven't had to venture too far outside of
Yeah,
Morgantown.
that's great. In the 20 years or so of business, what's the thing that makes you most proud?
I think again, I go back to the staying power. I've seen a lot of people come in and
Come
out
and
of this
go.
business. It's one thing to do it as an individual, and I know a lot of individuals that do well as cleaning people, but when you try to scale it and do things
Mm.
by the books and actually have a business where you have employees, and that is very difficult because the
Yeah.
competition is so, I mean, it's out there everywhere. So for me, I always go back to the staying power. I
Yeah.
always look back and
I
say,
love
well,
that.
we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still here.
I say this all the time, but it's very easy to start a business, and we could sit here on our phone and file for an LLC and get a business license in a few minutes, right?
Yes.
And the state's made it very easy here in West Virginia to do that, but to build something over 20 years like you've done is very, very difficult.
Extremely.
Very difficult. And most people don't, they don't get that. They see, here's Chin, he's the owner. Wow, he's got all these people and he's got, the vast fortunes and the great wealth that you've built. Right.
That's what they think.
So the point of it is that, man, you've put a lot of work into this and a lot of love and attention into it.
Man, any kind of business. I don't care if you're digging a ditch for a living, if you're selling flowers for a living. It doesn't matter what kind of business you have. If you're into clocking out and clocking out, you shouldn't try to own anything.
Yeah.
And you also have to have people around you that understand that. And God has blessed me with a wonderful wife and a wonderful daughter that understand that my phone is always on. And when I tell you my phone is always on, it is always on. So from a business standpoint, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I just love the idea of business. I mean, I wouldn't change the world. But if you're a 9 to 5, you want to go to work and then clock out, business is not for you.
Yeah.
But if you think you can, because not everybody, contrary to what we might think or we want to think, not everybody is rooting for you.
Yeah.
That's just the fact, as it should be. Yeah. So if you're not willing to mentally get to a place where you're willing to take a lot of stuff that may not be good, then this is not for you. Yeah. But if you are, then it's the way to go.
Well, you bring up a good point. Not everybody's rooting for you. I feel that. I just mentioned that you were in 2017 the minority-owned small business of the year. if we can be real for a few minutes, let's talk about that. Here, doing business in Morgantown, doing business in West Virginia, you're definitely in a minority. How hard has that been? Has that been an extra level of challenge for you?
Oh, now this is where we get a little bit more personal,
Yeah.
and a couple people are probably going to kill me when they listen to this. But for me though,
Keeping
yes,
it real. Keeping it real.
Yeah, it always, I always do, sometimes too real. But for me, yes, it has been an issue. Having said that, my goal has always been to show the people that are willing to see who I am. Because once somebody shows you who they are, you have to believe them. I know that's a quote, I think, by Maya Angelou. Somebody shows you who they are, that you believe them.
That's right.
So what I did early on was basically align myself with people that were willing to get to know me. And I was fortunate that some of those people happen to be people that are very successful here in Morgantown. So to be around them, to call them up, some of them are still on my speed dial. I remember, and you probably, and he'll kill me, but I don't care.
Okay.
Frank Alderman.
Oh yeah, of course.
Med Express. So I remember when Frank and Kevin Blankenship, when they first got going with Med Express, and we were doing their office. I would come in there late at night, and those guys were still in their office. And I remember one time saying something to Frank. I said, Frank, do you guys ever go home? What are you doing? He's like, Chen, this is what we have to do right now. That quote has stuck with me all these years because I still use it with my people. Whenever we're doing something, everybody says, this is what we have to do right now.
I love that.
And then back then, even somebody like him, when I did work for Frank, up until today, if I were to do anything for him, he trusted me enough to say, you know what, Chen, go do the job, figure out what it costs you, and then mark it up. No need for you to try and bid it. No need for you to try and tell me ahead of time what it's going to cost. No. So I was fortunate, and not a lot of people, and you have to understand this because it's very important and very, involved in what I do. I was fortunate to have a handful of people in this town that basically at the early onset of my business, that gave me a blind check. To do work for them. So it took the stress of trying to bid or trying to give an estimate. Wow. It took that away and allowed me to learn how to bid, how to say, okay, this is how long it's going to take 5 people to do this job. What am I going to charge?
What a blessing that was.
Well, so then, and the flip side of it, anytime somebody treats me, in a way that probably most people would agree that it's not right, I always go back to those people that have helped me. So it balances itself out. So whenever you say a minority business owner in Morgantown, I don't see it that way. Yeah. I just see it as not everybody's going to root for you, and it's okay. And why is that okay? Because I have plenty of people rooting for me. So I don't spend any time on that at all.
Avoid those people and go to the ones that are rooting for you.
Exactly. Those that have gotten to know you.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Great stuff. And I love that this is what you have to do right now. Right.
Yes.
I like that a lot. It kind of reminds me of a kind of a little different take on is like live and work like no one else. So later you can live and work like no one else.
Exactly.
It's kind of the same mindset, right? And being generous, you can't be generous unless you have, right?
Exactly.
So you've got to put it in, you got to put the work in. Everybody, I think, I say everybody, a large majority of people I see today want everything right now, and it's, you have to put the work in. You just have to put the work in.
And they don't see it. Again, they don't understand it that way. They don't see it that way.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter to them. Yeah. All they see is what they think you have, but they don't understand that sometimes when I pay my guys, I have to float a couple of checks for a few days. They don't know that, but I have to float those checks.
You don't want them to see behind the green curtain, Chen, we're going to take another quick break to mention our sponsors for Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Whether Freedom Kia showroom or within our community, helping others is part of our mission, and 2023 has been no different. Committed to the community and committed to our customers with fair pricing, excellent sales and service, and no hidden fees. Right now, get $3,500 off the 2023 Kia Sorento. A community that works together, thrives together. Visit Freedom Kia today, right off exit 153 on I-79 in Morgantown, or check out www.freedomkia.net.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So StoryMaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post and is this right? Does this sound good? When I use StoryMaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy and it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
And we're back, folks. We're visiting with Chin Orih. He's the owner of Corporate Cleaning Services for the last 25 years, something like that. We're not counting, but Chin's been doing a great job here in the greater Morgantown area with his cleaning service. Chin, you mentioned, not having to work too hard to actually go out and pick up new business because you got a great customer base. But in the event that you want to attract new business, how do you normally do that?
So obviously you belong to BNI.
Yeah.
So do I. I've been in BNI for the past 15, 16.
Business Networking International.
Business Networking International. And that's been very instrumental. But most of our business come through word of mouth referrals. And it's been that. And now let me go back and say, we're always looking for new business.
That's right. That's right.
It's just, we're at a point, again, I say we, my team, myself, we're all the same. We're at a point where we can afford to be a little bit more selective, simply because, for me, and as I get involved more and more, less and less in this business, there are two people in this entire world that are allowed to drive me crazy. One is my wife and one is my daughter. Those are the only two people, and I kid you not, I say this all the time. Those are the only two people in this world that's allowed to drive me crazy. So no amount of money that you're willing to pay me is worth my sanity. Yeah. So when you call me to look at a job, a potential job, you're interviewing me as much as I'm interviewing you, because there are plenty of times, and my guys would tell you this, that I've turned down work and they look at me like I'm crazy. I just don't get a good feeling that I can satisfy that client.
I love that.
And because of it, I'm not willing to go down that rabbit hole, no matter how much you're willing to pay me.
Absolutely.
So I try and keep myself out of those situations. Because I know some people, they want everything. They want every job. And before you know it, those people are calling me to take over what somebody else is doing.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's a pattern of you can interview me, but I'm also going to interview you. And I'm also and people that know me know this as well, Jim, I'm also very, very good at firing myself.
Yeah.
In the event that I don't think I can satisfy you if we start doing work for you, you wouldn't have to fire me. Yeah. I will tell you I'm going to fire myself, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Because there's no sense, we all have limited time on this planet. There's no sense in being in a relationship that is not healthy, whether it's personal or business. And I refuse to be in those types of relationship. And because of it, I turn a lot of work down.
I love it. That's a great mindset. And Chin, I want to also say, I did an exercise with some of my team at the end of 2023. We were talking about, where we're going for the next 5-10 years, and really analyzing the profit. Like, what are the profit centers that really are the most profitable things that we do? But I challenged everybody to think about not only profit on the P&L, the bottom line, but profit in your mind and in your heart. Like, what do we find gratitude and fulfillment with? What's the work that we like to do and love to do, and our clients love and appreciate, right? It's the same thing. You got to get out there. You were saying, you clean, but man, there is so much importance in the hygiene that you present to a commercial business or a residential home or whatever have you. And so you have to find that passion and say, okay, yeah, let's go do this. Let's go do the work that we were created to do and bring fulfillment on the bottom line, but also in our hearts and our heads. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think that's what I'm jiving with you on
absolutely.
this.
And part of that passion is also, and I'm sure you do this as well, it's a sense of ownership. I think when you surround yourself with team members and then you give them ownership of what they're doing, again, you're paying them to work for you, to work in your firm, to work, in your business. But when they feel a sense of ownership, I tell my guys all the time, I don't have a problem. And by saying my guys, let's be politically correct. It's men and women, but I just say my guys. Yep. I tell my guys all the time, it doesn't matter what the problem, the issue you're about to bring to me is. I don't care about that. What I do care about is the fact that if you're going to come to me with a problem or an issue, you better have a solution with it. Now, the solution we go with might not be what you bring to me, but I at least want you to tell me, okay, this is the problem and this is how we're going to solve it. And typically between the two of us, the three of us, whomever is involved, we put our heads together and we solve that problem. It's a lot easier for them to say, we have a problem. Okay, can you solve it for us? I don't want to do that. So when you do all those things, it has a way of allowing your team members to own things. And there's no, to me, there's no bigger motivation than ownership when you feel as though I own this thing. And then you see the gratification too when they do solve that problem without your help. Now, there are certain things I'm like, oh, no, let me know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it just brings that whole motivational thing. Because again, money to me and to a lot of people I know is not a very good motivator.
I want to go down another little path here because I, from time to time on social media, I follow you and I will see, obviously you went to WVU, West Virginia University to play soccer here, but you've befriended over time Coach Don Nealon, one of the all-time great football coaches in the country of all time. And you guys hang out quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about how that relationship got started.
That's funny. I'm actually going to go see him here after I'm done with you.
Right,
yeah. We Coach and I, people always ask us, how did you guys get to be such good friends?
Yeah.
And we always look at each other like, it's like God put us together. Yeah. So I came here in 98. In 99, I had a friend come in to visit, and they were staying at the over at the hotel over there in Cheat Lake, Lakeview.
Yeah.
And we were playing that weekend. Coach was still coaching, and I went to the hotel, and as I was running the corner, Coach came walking by. I'm like, hey, Coach. Now, he didn't know me from Adam at that point. And he stood there, hello, young man. And for about 5 to 7 minutes, just the two of us went back and forth. He's asking me how's school going. Just took such a huge interest in me. That was the first time we ever met, randomly.
Randomly, at Lakeview.
Just randomly.
Oh,
so then
so
fast
good.
forward as an athlete, I was in a couple of situations where I was around him. And then when I started my business, we kind of got together. I did some work for him, and just one day he's like, hey, let's go to lunch. And that was probably, 10 years ago.
Wow.
And ever since then, our relationship has blossomed into something that I never imagined.
How's he doing now?
He's doing great. He's doing great.
I see him from time to time. I see him at church every once in a while. And I just love Coach Nealon.
Right.
He is such a great guy. When I was at the Dominion Post early in my career, I had I led our sales team, and every year we would do a football edition, in the fall sports and football and everything, soccer. And I had this idea. I was going to have him come and speak to our sales team to kick off our sales lunch. And I'm like, he'll probably never do this in a million years, but I'm going to reach out to him, and see if he would do that. You know what? Not only did he agree to do it, but he came in and delivered a speech. Like not only did we hit our goal, we set a record that year,
No, he's still
it was just so awesome. And he probably would never remember that, but I will never forget it.
No, he's still up until today. A lot of people still call him to do events, which he has such a hard time saying no. So I do, and this is a little known secret that I'm going to throw out there. I do say no for him a lot, because when he calls me and say, hey, I said, Coach, you can't. You're old. And we joke around. I can say that. So, but I try to kind of, because otherwise he'll say yes to everything. Yeah. But great guy.
Well, I appreciate
great
you
man.
shedding a little insight on that. What a great story, Chin. I mean, seriously. In terms of growing your business, 20 some years in, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
And the competition. And I don't, okay, let me back that. Not so much, maybe the word competition is the wrong word. The saturation of cleaning people in Morgantown. Because again, as we all have obligations, I don't have a problem with that. It's just everybody has a lot of choices. So from a growth standpoint, we're still growing. So how is it that we're still growing after all these years? Well, people have gotten to know us. They know what we do. They know what we stand for. They know what our culture is. So we go out looking for business, but we're fortunate a lot of times that business actually finds us.
That's great.
And I'm trying to, I'm at a crossroads, like I told you a little bit. I'm in a place now where I have other interests that are kind of pulling me. I'm still 100% in the cleaning business, but I have other business ventures that I'm involved in. So, it's a good time right now for me at this stage in my life.
Spot, good season.
Yes.
Chin, what, you're a leader. Every time I have leaders in the studio here, I like to talk about leadership because that's one of my things that I'm trying to get better at each day is leadership. What do you think is one of the most important attributes of a successful business leader today?
Set the tone. Set the tone. And I think maybe that my background in athletics has me this way, but you set the tone. When somebody walks in a room, there should be no question as to who, and I say quarterback a lot, there should be no question who's in charge of that space. Having said that, you have to be careful as to not make anyone or your team or random person feel less than you. If you can find that balance where everybody understands, in my business, my guys know that it's not a democracy, so to speak. We don't huddle up and say, hey, this is the best way to do this. Let's all go do it. I take all ideas, I take all inputs, I listen to everybody, and we come to a decision. But that decision comes from me. Yeah. So when you build that culture of, I say, set the tone. Just set the tone. And if you set the tone and people respect you, they're going to follow right behind you. And before you know it, they're going to be right next to you. Yeah. And then I don't call my people employees. They're all associates. Yeah. And when they call me their boss, I'm like, we're all associates. And we have fun because I still work with them. Sometimes people walk in and they don't even know who owns the business. And or especially if they have something snippy to say, they'll yell and yell and yell and turn around to one of my employees and say, okay, now who do we have to contact? And then they point at me and you see their face just drop. For quite a few years, I never put a title on my business card. Nobody knew who owned my business. And that was an idea I got from one of my mentors. He's like, you know what? You don't need to put your title or just give them your business card. At the end of the day, when they mail the check, it's coming to you. Who cares who owns your business?
That's great. I love it. Chin, we have a large audience of people who are interested in entrepreneurship on Positively West Virginia. Maybe some young person's out there listening to this thinking, man, I would like to start a business someday. What's one piece of advice you would give to them?
Well, so, the idea is one thing, executing is another thing. Sometimes we go from the idea to execution in 30 seconds. My number one advice is find someone that can mentor you. People underestimate the importance of mentorship. I mean, there's a man in this town, and like I'll say his name, my buddy Phil Weezer. It doesn't matter what I do from a business standpoint. He's usually the first person I call and say, hey, Phil, I have an idea. And he'll talk me through it. And this has been going on for years. So he's somebody that I consider to be a huge mentor to me. And he's been not just a mentor, there was a time when he's helped me tremendously. So my secret from that standpoint of starting a business is find someone that is willing to mentor you and then become a sponge. Just listen.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Learn, ask questions. There are no such thing as silly questions because the business world is tricky. But when you have somebody that's been there and they're telling you how to navigate the road, it makes it a little bit easier. Yeah. So that's my number one thing is find someone that can mentor you.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's great. Great wisdom and great advice. Chin, as we wrap up our time, I mean, we've covered a lot in this interview. I mean, a lot of different subjects, and I really appreciate your candidness, your openness. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know about Chin's story or commercial cleaning services?
Well, I mean, my story is quite simple. I mean, at the end of the day, I had an opportunity to leave I did an interview in 2000 with BIC in Connecticut. I did an interview with Amtrak in DC. Excuse me, at the time, they were offering me a job. And that's when I was starting with this whole cleaning thing. Yeah. And it was such a difficult decision for me to not just take the safe bet and take those jobs. And I just went with, betting on myself. And I was already betting on myself prior to that. But then up until today, I have never not bet on myself. I always bet on myself. So again, my advice is this. If Jim Matuga can own a studio as nice as this, why can't I? And I could go on and on and on about other businessmen and women here in Morgantown. If you can do it, why can't I? There are certain barriers you have to overcome, blah, 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 and all that good stuff. But I always ask that question. If he or she can do it, why can't I? Yeah, so from a business standpoint, again, I don't care what your idea is. Just think to yourself, if there's somebody else out there doing this thing, why can't I?
I love it, man. I love it. Do you still play soccer?
I do not. I'm too old for that now. I'll probably break every single
You look like
bone.
you can play now.
That's what everybody says.
Great.
I don't, but I do follow. The Mountaineers obviously had a heck of a season this year.
Yeah.
So I'm all in. West Virginia is home to me. Morgantown is home to me.
Yes, sir.
I'm not planning on going anywhere.
In West Virginia, we're honored to have you here, Chin. Honestly,
appreciate it.
How can folks get in touch with you and learn more about commercial cleaning services?
So we obviously
Corporate Cleaning Services.
Our website, ccserviceswv.com. Facebook, we're very active. Email, call us, Google us, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You'll find us somehow.
Well, we will put your website and your social media links on the show notes section of the podcast. And when we promote this out on social media, we'll make sure we tag you guys so folks can just, get in touch with Chin.
And I hope so.
Check it out.
And I'll throw this out there real quick. This is not so much to market my business. If anybody out there has a question about the cleaning business, trying to scale it, and I helped a friend of mine in Preston County start his cleaning company years ago, and he'll still say that. And people are like, "You're crazy. Why are you helping him when he's competition?" If anybody has a question, I'm an open book. I will give you the answers as best as I can to help you facilitate, even if you want to start your own cleaning company.
I love it, man.
I can help in any way.
You exemplify the motto of BNI, givers gain.
Absolutely.
What goes around comes around, right? It's better to give than to receive, Chin.
But you receive in ways that you can't even imagine sometimes.
I love it, man. I love it. It's been a real honor, Chin Orih, to have you on with Corporate Cleaning Services on the podcast today. I think what you're doing and what you've been doing for the last 20-some years has been amazing. So keep up the great work, buddy.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
We'd like to thank our partners, Huntington Bank, Highmark, West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, and Storymaker, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positively.wv.com/sponsor.
Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on the show, drop us a line on our website at positively.wv.com. And of course, we appreciate your comments, your suggestions for guests, your reviews, and sharing this on social media as well. We really appreciate helping to get the word out. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer, Mr. Justin Schofield, behind the controls today, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.